It starts with the silhouette. Director Alfred Hitchcock appears, or maybe he doesn't. His figure introduces the story, but he's so far away, it might not even be him. Which is fitting for a film about mistaken identity, about how being seen is not the same as being known. In this strand of Take 55 called Interval, I look at films that blend genres and styles. The Wrong Man from 1956 does exactly that, merging film noir with a docudrama. Based on a true story, a quiet New York musician known as Manny is accused of a series of petty robberies. Played by Henry Fonda, he's the most ordinary of men, polite to a fault, methodical in his habits. The film was shot on location where the actual events happened. But the realism adds a strange reflexivity too. Fonda walks the same streets, he stands in the same rooms, and he reenacts the real man's humiliation. The great American moral actor, the face of decency itself, performing truth in a story about how impossible it is to prove it. It's as if the film challenges us to find where reality ends and performance begins. Manny's life is built on order. He counts every penny, he plays numbers games in his head, he imagines betting on horses without ever placing a bet.
Oh, I didn't know you liked horses.
It's the arithmetic I like, honey. I guess it's the musician in me. You know, musicians are always fascinated by mathematics. They can't read, but they can figure.
And even when his world falls apart, he still perceives it in units, in beats. The corners of his cell, the cracks in his wall, the semicircle of feet in the prison wagon. There's still a kind of musicality to it, a man trying to keep time with a world that upends his steady rhythm. And at the station, the police make Manny write out a copy of the hold-up note to compare the handwriting. Hitch then moves to a high angle, a sudden surveillance view from above. And from that moment, we know it's over. In Hitchcock's universe, the high angle exposes the protagonist being condemned or incarcerated. It's not a perspective of empathy anymore, it's judgment. Manny is a devout man. He carries a crucifix and a set of rosary beads.
Here's your receipt. You can keep the rosary beads if you wish.
It's a small gesture delivered flatly. You can keep your belief, he says, but only because it poses no threat to the system. Moments like that quietly transform The Wrong Man from a procedural into a passion play. Manny isn't guilty of a crime, though he suffers as though he were, humiliated and reduced to an example. The meek don't inherit anything here, they're just more easily sacrificed. Manny's condemned not for ambition or lust or greed or the usual noir sins, but for the lack of them, for being ordinary. He works in a place of glamour and indulgence, Manhattan's Stork Club, but he doesn't drink, he doesn't chase the spoils, he doesn't even gamble. He's a man of small ambitions, and that smallness seals his fate. For Manny, the punishment is physical. Before his wife Rose, played by Vera Miles, it's psychological. As the machinery of justice grinds on, she begins to crumble. She can't make sense of how this innocent man can suffer, so she starts to believe that they must deserve it. It's almost Kafkaesque, a kind of nightmare logic where innocence offers no protection and ordinary people are crushed by systems they can't understand. Manny faces external punishment while Rose endures the internal version, where a kind of original sin bubbles up. The shifts in perspective mirror that duality. One moment we're in the routine of police procedure, and the next we're in Manny's fear. When he's locked in his cell for the first time, it's presented as anything but documentary realism. The camera circles slowly, turning the geometry of confinement into a vortex. It's panic expressed through architecture, faith collapsing into confined space. Manny's world has suddenly become even smaller, and later when he leaves the courtroom after initial sentencing, Manny looks back at Rose, and we see through his eyes as the wall slowly slides across the frame, cutting her off from view. It's a perfect image of love and faith shut out by the machinery of justice. The Wrong Man is pared back noir, a documentary stripped of comfort. It's what happens when order gives way to ambiguity. Hitchcock's style isn't absent here, it's deftly blended. Every moment, every shot, every angle is deliberate. It's stylization hidden in plain sight. In Hitchcock's America, the line dividing the holy and the bureaucratic is paper thin. The meek don't find mercy, they just get noticed. And once they're seen, they never go unseen again.